Hello! Welcome to Brain Spill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and today you might have expected a Valentine's Day video, based on the day of the upload of this video. Well, I can safely say you're in the right place, because we today have a video showing our love and appreciation for something very, very dear to our hearts. Those that we deeply love and care for. I'm speaking of none other than the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Gotta love the blue blur. I'll bring this back to Valentine's Day later in the video. Don't you worry about a thing. Right, so just before we begin, I want to make this very clear. This video was recorded before the release of the movie, and certainly before I have seen it. So you can be safe in the knowledge that there's absolutely no spoilers. Probably. So aside from stuff we've seen in the trailers, nothing really more than that. So I'm just giving you guys a heads up now. I don't want any butthurt people in the comments section. We good? We good. The Sonic the Hedgehog movie is being released as an adventure comedy film, which is based on the classic gaming franchise by Sega, Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes, 5-year-old Tank would have had his mind absolutely blown if he knew that this film was going to be a reality. So, how did we get here? Sonic the Hedgehog has been around since 1991 and has really been the flagship protagonist for the video game company Sega, who really has been a mascot in direct competition with Nintendo's Mario. In the early 90s, Nintendo released Super Mario Bros. 3, which at the time would become the best-selling game of all time. So of course, Sega, the cheeky buggers they are, they wanted a piece of the pie. And originally, Sega had most of their games simply ported over to their console. But they wanted their own mascot, somebody who could be a direct competitor to one of the biggest known gaming mascots of the time. They needed an original idea. So what they did was they made a competition. They asked people to make character designs for Sega's new mascot, and of course, the one that came out on top was Sonic the Hedgehog. The first game was produced and released as an inbuilt game for the new Sega Genesis. And this move was credited greatly because Sega managed to get a 65% market share against Nintendo. This was truly the start of an all-out console war. I mean, we all now know how that turned out, but at the time, this was big. Two titans fighting out against each other. So let's humour ourselves for a little while. Honestly, talking about this could be a whole video topic in itself, but effectively, a giant overweight Italian plumber was in a fist fight with a hedgehog that had fallen in blue paint. In fact, funny story, the first console I ever owned was a Sega Mega Drive. 5-year-old me, I absolutely loved that console. And for the longest time, I didn't even know Sonic was even on the actual console itself. So I remember getting it, and the game that came with it was Ninja Gaiden. And anyone that knows the classic Ninja Gaiden game on the Sega, it was fucking hard. So I always got stuck on that samurai boss near the start of the game, and I kept dying and got very upset. So one day I came back to the console and turned it on, only to remember that I forgot to put a game cartridge in. But that was it. That was all I needed to discover Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes, turning the console on without a game in would automatically boot up the built-in game, which was the original Sonic the Hedgehog game. And that was it. The first time I saw the blue glow on my screen and seeing our fuzzy friend come up doing this. I played that game for hours on end and I loved every minute of it. Honestly, I think a lot of people share the same sentiment. Very nostalgic memories, people loving growing up with that game. I mean, we all sort of know what happened in the later years and how it got a bit bastardized, but let's skip past that, That's why it was such a surprise when on the 10th of June 2014, it was announced that a full Sonic the Hedgehog movie was going to be in production, which effectively was a joint venture between Sony Pictures and Marza Entertainment Planet. The rights to the film being acquired a year later by Sony Pictures Entertainment. I'm not even going to deny it, there has been some truly terrible films released based on video games. On the 2nd of October 2017, Paramount Pictures acquired the rights to the film from Sony Columbia Pictures. Jeff Fowler was brought on board to direct the film, which would be his first feature film directorship. Later, it was announced that the film would be released in November 2019. Great! A movie about our favourite speed devil. Just what the masses want. Now, I can speak for the masses here and say that Sonic fans want one thing and one thing only. And you know what? I'm just going to spell it out here. Are you ready? Don't f it up. Please, don't f this up. And you'll never guess what happened next. They f***ed it up. They managed to cock this up so badly that people absolutely crucified the film mid-2019. But really, we're jumping ahead of ourselves a little bit here. A teaser poster was released on the 10th of December 2018, which showed a silhouette of the new Sonic design. The production team behind the movie opted to go for a more realistic take on Sonic, down to his updated new kicks, rather than the more cartoony version we've seen in the past. The filmmakers consider Ted to be an appropriate analogue for the upcoming Sonic movie's integration of a CG character into a real-world setting. And you could tell, because critics and fans everywhere really voiced their opinions. And the feedback wasn't great. What really didn't help this situation was, at the time that this was all happening, the Detective Pikachu movie was being released, and in comparison, that looked much better. Here, people were seeing video game characters being successfully translated onto the big screen. So why did it work there and not with Sonic? Somehow they managed to make Detective Pikachu be a massive success in the cinemas, and Sonic the Hedgehog looked like something that would scare the next generation of children. Some people might say that this is an incredibly unfair comparison to make, but for companies with budgets this large to make movies, it's only fair to compare and contrast to make sure that consumers are getting the best film possible, especially when it's a well-beloved character. And honestly, I think the biggest hint that something was very wrong was when ex-members of Sonic Team spoke up about the design. Sonic Team being the company that worked on the actual Sonic the Hedgehog video games. They saw these new designs and had questions of their own. Naoto Oshima, the original designer of Sonic, said the following. Sonic is a fairy of a hedgehog, so he doesn't need to be designed closer to a real hedgehog, even in live action. Mickey doesn't become a mouse in live action, does he? Because they are fairies who can live on when people believe in them. I don't want to throw fuel on the fire here, but at the time of the release of this poster, it was still quite early and anything could have changed between that time and the release of the film. I mean, to be fair to them, it's probably an early concept. It can't get any worse than this. And really, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. Oh, Jesus God! Get it away. Get it off the screen. Yes, it gets worse, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. This was the second poster released shortly after the first one. Maybe the studio thought, hey, people are overreacting. When they see the actual design, it will be fine. There won't be any problems whatsoever. People will forgive us. Or more than likely, the studio probably thought, fuck it, we're beyond the point of no return, let's just get it out the door. Many fans, understandably, weren't really happy with this and pointed out many flaws with the design which didn't really match up with their idea of what they thought Sonic the Hedgehog should be. Some further images were leaked in March 2019, which understandably caused even more fury amongst the fan base. According to Max Schneider, he said that Paramount expected Sonic fans to not be happy with the new redesign, but assumed general audiences wouldn't mind too much, as per the redesign of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie in 2014. He clearly underestimated the Sonic fandom because they were having none of it. And you guys know what's coming. That image, that trailer, I've honestly kept you guys waiting for too long. And I can't hold it off any longer. We've reached that point in the video where I'm gonna have to show you guys something pretty terrible. Prepare to show the image in 3, 2, 1. Oh God. Who thought of this? Honestly, who approved this design? It's... Yes, they fucked it up. The Sonic community was in uproar, and the internet exploded with the negative criticism that was faced at the new trailer. This story went trending, it went worldwide. Millions of people saw the trailer, and many people were pointing out the very strange choices that the designers made for Sonic. This included the creepy ass hands without gloves, the strange human teeth, the incredibly deadpan eyes stare that he has. The colours aren't even right on him. It's just, what on earth were they thinking? The cherry on top was when the designers thought it would be a good idea to use the song Gangsta's Paradise in the trailer, which didn't really fit whatsoever. So as you can imagine, it was critically panned from all angles. G. Jackson from Kotaku said the following: "Horrific and a blight upon this weary earth." Within 2 days, the trailer on YouTube had over 20 million views. Really, up until this point, if the hate wasn't abundantly clear to the creators, it was now. The trailer was very quickly taken off YouTube, and Jeff Fowler, the director, tweeted out accepting that fan feedback had been taken on board and the studio was going to take a step back and have a go at redesigning the character. Thank you for your support and the criticism. The message is loud and clear. You aren't happy with the design and you want changes. It's going to happen. Everyone at Paramount and Sega are fully committed to making this character the best he can be. This garnered mixed reception, as many people were very happy that the studio had listened to people and decided to try and redesign the character. Many people were skeptical, however, and many more people were worried that if they kept the release date at the end of November 2019, the animators would have a hell of a hard time getting things done in time. Something that's very common in that industry is something called crunch time, essentially where people are working long hours to get a project done to the deadline. And people just wanted to make sure that the animators weren't being pushed into this situation. And I agreed. On the one hand, I want a really good Sonic film, but I don't want it to be rushed, and I don't want people to have to make big sacrifices to make that happen. If the studio decided to keep their November 2019 release date, I honestly feel that this wouldn't have done the film justice, and we wouldn't have got a very good product. And really, from the backlash the studio have already received, they don't want to fuck up again. That's why on the 24th of May, this image was released, saying that the film would be delayed to make sure that they could spend time to create the perfect Sonic design. Effectively, they wanted to do the character justice with the hashtag, "No effects artists were harmed in the making of this movie." And just like that, somehow they managed to bring this back from the absolute brink and hopefully buy themselves a second chance to win people over. And so the world waited. After the film was delayed, nothing was really heard for a few months. People were speculating as to whether the studio would truly take on board criticism as to the specifics of what they wanted in a character, or they might just f it up again. Who knows? On the 12th of November 2019, a new trailer and teaser poster were released, and it was magnificent. I'm not joking, like, look at this. Look at this furry boy. Look how cute he is. Like I said, 5-year-old me, seeing this, mind blown. Yeah, like that would have really blown my mind. Yes, Sonic's back. And at the time of recording this video, not much more has happened since. There has been a long running joke about mocking Sonic games and the franchise as a whole due to the frankly terrible decisions the studio have made in the past. And honestly, all that mockery and criticism, I think it just comes from a place of love. And deep down, people do want to see this film succeed. See, I told you I'd bring it back to Valentine's Day one way or another. Although the redesign for Sonic is a step in the right direction, looking at the plot on IMDb, it does seem like a very simple premise. Really, for a film like this, I don't think it even has to be overly complicated. If it's good fun, has a lot of funny jokes in, has some great action scenes, and maybe a couple of references thrown in, honestly, I think it could be a really good film. The movie cost an estimated $95 million to produce, and at the time of the release of this video, the movie will be out. So at this time, we should know if the movie was a flop or a cinematic gem. But I guess only time will tell. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you have any ideas as to what topics you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. Right, well, I'm actually going to go watch this movie now, so who knows? Most of what I've said in this video might be just redundant right now. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.